Hey everyone, I'm Elaine. Welcome to my channel, Handful of Daisies DIY. Today we're back in the craft room and I have way too many thrifted items. It's running me out, so we're going to start working on some so I can get them in my booth. So if you're not subscribed and that's something you're interested in, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and notification bell and join our DIY family. If you're already subscribed, thanks so much for supporting my channel and for being a part of our DIY family. And for those of you who have bought me a coffee, I really appreciate that. It helps me purchase paint supplies to continue these projects. So if you're ready, let's get started. So today we're going to be working on magazine racks. I had 3 in my hoard, so I wanted to get them ready to go in my booth. So I already cleaned this piece really well with Dawn dish soap, and I'm going to go ahead and take the hardware off. And we're going to be using Rust-Oleum in aged gray to paint this whole piece. As always, I'm going to start with the bottom. And I didn't prime this piece. I'm hoping I don't get any bleed through. So I'm not using any water to thin down the paint. I'm just putting it on right out of the can. This paint smooths out pretty well, so I didn't really need to use the water. But I am putting a fairly thin coat on for the first coat, and then I'll come back and put a second coat on as well. I haven't used this color in a while, but it is a really nice light gray. So I let that dry, put the second coat on, and now I'm just going to do the top and the inside. The same as I did the bottom, I'm just putting a thin coat on, letting that dry, and then I'll go ahead and put a second coat on that as well. Like I said, I have a lot in my stash that I need to work on, so I thought I'd start on these bigger pieces this week. So once I let that dry, I'm going to make a stencil using this Mylar and my Cameo. I'm going to be doing grain stripes on the front, the back, and the sides. This Mylar is fairly thick, so it makes a really good stencil. I'm going to use my painter's tape just to tape it down so it doesn't move, and to block off those edges so I can get a clean edge. I'm using the Waverly chalk painted ink for my stencil. And just a stencil brush I picked up from Walmart. So I'm putting some paint on my brush, and then I'm just gonna take most of the paint off the brush, just so I don't get any bleed through. So I'm just doing a light coat on it, really easy, so it doesn't go up underneath the stencil. And I'm holding the stencil down as I go. With the long lines on the stencil, it does tend to move a lot. So you just have to hold it down in each section. If you have a cutting machine, these are pretty easy to make. If you're interested in any of these stencils, let me know in the comments below, and I can always add them to my website. And here's a look how it came out. I ended up with pretty good clean lines. I'm going to use my hair dryer just to dry it up before I start on the other side. And then I'm going to measure just to make sure that I'm putting the stencil in the same place on this side as I had it on the other. Just making a little mark there for my stencil line. And then I'm going to tape that down as well and do the same thing on this side. Again, putting some paint on my brush and then just dabbing off the excess. You don't want a lot of paint on your brush when you're doing these stencils. And since I don't have a lot of paint on my brush, I'm able to just use the swirling motion to get that down in the paint. That one came out pretty good as well. Did have just a little bit on the edge I touched up. And then I did go ahead and do the sides as well. I'm going to be using this IOD stamp. I got these stamps several weeks ago and I hadn't used them yet, so I thought this would be the perfect project to try them out. I'm just using some white ink, so I'm going to ink it up really well. You can see I got a lot of ink around the edges. I should have wiped that off, but I'm going to be really careful trying not to push that down onto the piece. I'm going to hold the stencil down just as I press down around the other pieces. Voices like a mountain song, sing you are my only one. Then just pull it straight up. I think that gave this piece just a little bit extra. Let me know in the comments below how you like that. And here's a look at how it turned out. How do you like the stripes on the side? Do you think that was too much? Let me know in the comments below. Now here's a look at the next one we have. It's solid wood and it has this really nice cottagecore picture on the front. I decided not to paint this one. I just cleaned it up really well, and then I'm adding the Hoard's bead and wax wood polish to it just to condition the wood a little bit, and it ends up turning out really well. I know I've had a lot of comments from people who don't really like painting over the wood, so this one's for you. We're keeping this one natural. So I'm polishing it inside and out, and then I'm going to do the slide in as well. This wood polish just really brings out the beauty in the wood. The cottagecore look is really in now, so that's one of the reasons that I just left this as is with that beautiful farmhouse. So here's a look at how the polish turned out on the wood. Let me know in the comments below, would you have painted this piece or do you like it left just as the wood? So this was a pretty quick and easy project. I'm going to put that one to the side and let it dry, and then I'll go back and wipe it down once it's dried a little. Now here's the last piece that I have. It has a little damage that needs to be fixed. I'm going to be using some quick wood just to fill those pieces of wood that have broken off. I'm going to mix that up really well. Put it on this piece, and then I'm gonna add this to a few other little areas as well. And then once that dries, I'll go in and sand that down. And I'm not sure what happened to the rest of the video, but I'll show you what the end result looks like. I did sand that down and take it outside and spray painted it in white. And here's a look at how it turned out. It was so much easier to use spray paint. I did tape off the front so I wouldn't paint over the picture. I really like the picture on the front. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this piece as well, and which one was your favorite. Thanks so much for watching today. Don't forget, you'll find me at A Handful of Daisies Home Decor on Instagram and Facebook. And again, if you're not already subscribed, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join our DIY family. Also, don't forget, coming up in November, we will start our series on upcycling the new camper we bought. So I'll see you next week for another DIY.